Good morning and welcome to the JMCSS podcast for the district. I'm Greg Hammond, Chief of Public Information for Jackson-Madison County Schools. Today we are spotlighting our Mechatronics program at the JMCSS Workforce Development Center. This is a great opportunity for students and families to hear how JMCSS is preparing students for careers in mechanical engineering, industry, electrical and electronics engineering, computer engineering, and more. We're joined today by Jeff Replogle, the Mechatronics Teacher at JCM-Early College High, and Michael Patrick, an early college high school freshman and a star pupil in the Mechatronics program. We'll have more on that in a minute, but first, here's a quick reminder. For the district, the JMCSS podcast is a production of the Jackson-Madison County School System in partnership with Forever Communications. You can listen to this episode on demand on Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Hammond.
So I always start with the same question. In the beginning of our podcast, particularly when we have educators in the house. Mr. Replogle, you are the Mechatronics Teacher at JCM Early College High and the Workforce Development Center. Did you always know you wanted to work in education?
I did not, Mr. Hammond. Actually, I started out as a mechanical engineer and worked as a mechanical engineer about 18 and a half, 19 years. Then pursued a career at Jackson State Community College for a couple of years as an articulation coordinator. Met up with some friends here, and they took me in to start teaching engineering and mechatronics back 17, 18 years ago.
Mm-hmm. And now you are with the district, and we are certainly glad to have you here. So you are an engineer by trade, and now you are teaching students in the Jackson-Madison County School System. I do want to ask, was mechatronics a term back when you started in engineering?
Absolutely not. It was either mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, civil engineering, aeronautical engineering. Each engineering field was separated different. Not until here lately has it really joined together, and pretty much the mechanical and the electrical has joined together into mechatronics.
Michael Patrick is a star pupil at JCM Early College High. He's involved in the mechatronics program. Michael, if you would, kind of tell us how you learned about the opportunity to participate in mechatronics at JCM Early College High.
Well, I first learned about it last year during my 8th grade year at Jackson Careers and Technology. From there, we were called to the office to make our schedules for the following year as a freshman. From there, when I looked on the paper, nothing else really struck out to me. There was art, maybe lifetime wellness, but mechatronics is what I wanted to do. Now, before, I had already wanted to go into electrical engineering. So when I looked at the paper, it kind of went hand in hand with each other. So that's pretty much how I decided I was going to enroll.
We're joined here by Jeff Replogle. He's the Mechatronics Teacher at JCM Early College High. And Michael Patrick is a freshman at JCM-ECH and a star pupil in mechatronics. Mr. Replogle, can you kind of talk about how the craft of training engineers has kind of changed over the last couple of years? As you stated earlier, it was very well defined, several decades ago, but now there's this big umbrella term, mechatronics, and maybe we should probably pause and let the listeners know what mechatronics is.
Well, to reiterate on what you said, when I started out as a mechanical engineer, everything was in the classroom. Everything was theory. There was no hands-on learning whatsoever. It was all book training. Now we have evolved into the mechatronics, and we teach some theory, but then we got the hands-on to back up the theory. So students are really evolving now in the aspect that they can go to work now and actually get their hands on what they learned, unlike when I started out as an engineer. I didn't know. I knew what a book was. That was it.
Now, Michael Patrick is a student at JCM-ECH. I had an opportunity to visit you all at the Workforce Development Center. Explain to some of the folks who are listening many of the activities and assignments that you take part in there at the Workforce Development Center at JCM-Early College High. And I will paint the picture a little bit for folks who haven't checked out our social media and may not be familiar with the lab there. There are a lot of stations with robots, really robotic arms, all around the lab there. So now if you would, kind of explain some of the assignments and projects that you take part in.
Okay, so pretty much everything you see there is small. And it's basically a replication of what larger companies use to manufacture products. So the robot, that was one of the first things I started doing. It taught me how to manually move it, which is jogging it and programming it as well. The AC/DC electrical system basically just gives you a concept of how electricity flows and travels to different outputs, which, for example, that lamp, that would be an output, where the input would be connecting wires to it and things of that nature. The electric relay control system is also another station that trains you on different logic circuits. For example, the NOT. That's used in a lot of circuits today for emergency push-button stops. Now, when you get into the workforce station, that's where you have your skill bosses, which are the miniature factories. And then from there, you're going to go over safety, because safety is very key when you're working around new compressed air, electricity, and a lot of mechanics.
You mean we don't just get to run around with the tools all day?
Not at all, no. And then from there, going to the CNC machine, pretty much I type in, what I wanted to do, it's going to do that. And you also, a lot of guys, students like to say, hey, I'm not going to learn this, or I'm not going to use this in life. Well, in the first week of the Mechatronics 1 course, I saw a coordinate plane, which you learn that in math. But the coordinate plane had also added another plane to it for 3D. So, it's kind of just like that. A lot of things that you learn in school, that'll help you in the future as well.
We're visiting with Michael Patrick. He's a star pupil in the Early College High School Mechatronics class, which is attached to the Workforce Development Center. Jeff Replogle is the Mechatronics teacher. Jeff, if you would, and it's almost time for us to take a time out, as the folks hear words like mechatronics and many of the programs that Michael was just mentioning, talk about some of the jobs that students are being prepared for when they go through your mechatronics course.
There's various different fields in this, and there's various different directions, and I always encourage a student to find what they're good in and then pursue that. So if we go in there and you have a student that is good in the CNC programming and they enjoy it, then maybe they need to pursue the CNC programming.
Which would prepare them for what type of job?
Operating in mills, lathes, pretty much machine shop type deal. So, if they're good at robotics, let's pursue robotics. If they're good at electrical, let's pursue the electrical. There is so many variances in there, and at the Workforce Development Center, what we're doing is I'm giving them a small bite of everything that I can and saying, hey, you really, really like this. Let's talk about this. Like Michael right here, he's already into the second semester working in advance on the stuff. And I've worked with him a lot and pursued him a whole lot further than a lot of students.
And we'll remind folks, Michael is a freshman at Early College High, and he is advanced. And we want to encourage you to check out our social media channels this week. Check out our Facebook, check out our X or Twitter, and also Instagram, because we'll be sharing many of the videos that were produced from the mechatronics class. When we come back, Michael, you've created, with Mr. Replogle's direction, a can crusher.
Yes.
Which has a lot of science and mechanics behind it. When we come back from this commercial break, we will talk about that project, but then also, too, Mr. Replogle, if you can put some dollars and cents into this conversation for many of the parents to explain why the mechatronics field is a very viable field for young people. You're listening to For the District, the JMCSS podcast. This morning, we are visiting with Jeff Replogle. He's a mechatronics teacher at JCM-Early College High and the Workforce Development Center. They also offer welding at the Workforce Development Center. They also offer the health sciences And I want to reiterate something Michael said before we go to commercial break. Michael found out about the JCM Early College High programs and the Workforce Development Center while he was still in middle school. And a lot of those conversations are going on right now. Middle school students are being visited by high school counselors and to learn more about the high school program. So I'm glad you mentioned that, Michael. That was a very important part. You're listening to For the District, the JMCSS podcast on JJ 97.7 FM. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Jackson-Madison County Schools and Forever Communications want you to leap up for literacy. Community partners like Lieutenant Rochelle Staten are increasing literacy across the community by reading 20 minutes every day.
I called, Mr. Pig, are you in? Get out of here, wolf.
Visit jmcss.org to hear the rest of the book and to discover ways students, individuals, and families can increase literacy across the community. Welcome back to the Jackson-Madison County Schools podcast for the district. I'm Greg Hammond, Chief of Public Information for JMCSS. This morning we are spotlighting our Mechatronics program at the Workforce Development Center. Again, this is a great conversation and opportunity for students and families to learn about how Jackson-Madison County Schools is preparing students for careers in mechanical engineering, electrical and electronics engineering, computer engineering, and much more. We're joined by Jeff Replogle. He's the Mechatronics Teacher at JCM-Early College High, and Michael Patrick. Michael is a star pupil with the Mechatronics program there at the Workforce Development Center and JCM-Early College High. Mr. Replogle, I was able to visit the classroom, and you were telling me about Michael. And I think particularly in career and technical education,
Right.
whether we go talk to the culinary teacher at Liberty or the auto technology teacher at Southside, they're going to tell us about a star student
Absolutely.
who really challenges them and keeps them on their toes.
Yes.
Is it true that Michael's that type of student?
Absolutely. He has really pushed me and trying to give him even more and more and more knowledge. And it's been a pleasure working with a student like Michael, because I really would love to teach these kids and students my engineering background.
Michael, for you, talk about, if you would, for a moment, before we talk about the Workforce Development Center at JCM Early College High, let's rewind a little bit and talk about how your curiosity was piqued in middle school because of STEM opportunities. Can you speak to that at all?
Yes. So in middle school, I liked a lot of things to do with military, enjoying military vehicles and things like that. So from there, I was kind of like, when I want to grow up, I want to try to build and design military vehicles and all that type of stuff. So at the STEM program there, Mr. V, who was my instructor there in middle school, there was a STEM program, of course. There's a 3D printer, and there we built cars that had kits with them and had structural engineering as well. So from there, that's where I got introduced to it.
Now, here's what's exciting for me, Mr. Replogle, and maybe you can talk about this as well. So Michael talked about his experience at JCT, Jackson Careers and Technology School. He talked about STEM. When you think about the Melissa's Innovation Center, introducing middle school students to STEM careers, careers in industry, careers in mechanics and automotive, I think the story that Michael just told will be duplicated 30 times because of what's happening there at Melissa's. Before we continue with the Workforce Development Center, can you just, as an educator and a trained engineer, kind of tell us, I would imagine that makes you excited when you see the school system building out opportunities for students.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's an opportunity all around in the aspect a student can come into my program. They can get the basic knowledge of it. Once they get the basic knowledge and dual enrolled with TCAT, they can either go to TCAT and finish up the curriculum at TCAT, or they can go to Jackson State Community College and the Advanced Manufacturing Training Program there, the AMT program. They can pursue the AMT program.
Scoot a little bit closer to the microphone and tell the parents what AMT stands for.
Advanced Manufacturing Technology with Jackson State Community College. So they can pursue the AMT program. And then if they want to go even further, they can pursue, say, a mechatronics engineering at UTC, Murfreesboro, TSU. There's mechatronics engineering is growing in every single college out there.
Michael, tell me about this can crusher. I saw a video on LinkedIn, or maybe it was Instagram, I don't remember. Mr. Replogle shared, and it showed this can crusher and the fact that you guys are taking these principles of science and math and actually taking what you've learned and you're creating things. Tell us about the can crusher.
So the can crusher actually started on a whiteboard. Yeah.
So before anything was put together, you guys just used numbers and letters and angles and lines and drew it up.
Stick drawings.
So he called me and 2 other students up. He just started drawing on the whiteboard. He said, "You guys get ahead, we're going to build this." Okay. Then from there, he went to the laptop, and that's where the 3D modeling software comes in for SolidWorks. A lot of other companies use as well. Then from there, he starts developing it. And then that's where we go out to the workstation where I cut it out. But before I cut it out, he tells me, "Hey, go and get your OSHA." Yeah, I get that OSHA. I did it.
And he's talking, when you say OSHA, you're talking about your safety training.
Yes.
Okay.
I
Continue.
completed that in about a week or so. Then after I did that, he taught me how to use a jigsaw, which basically just cuts wood for your hand. Then a skill saw as well that cuts wood. So from there, we started cutting out the parts and things like that. I was still early into Mech 1, so I wasn't really sure about the pneumatics and all that stuff that went into it. So from there, we started assembling it and building it. From there, he explained PLCs, which is a programmable logic controller. He did all of that, but even then, in Mech 1, I still learned about the pneumatics, so I have an idea of what's going on. So pretty much we started assembling it, and then we started testing it out, and that's pretty much how it went.
So it crushes cans using...
Compressed air.
And there's also some electrical components
Yeah,
that you
so
guys had to program.
Yeah, so we use an inductive sensor that detects metal. And from there, we when the cylinder extends, okay, it crushes the can, and it comes back. That inductive sensor lets it know, hey, it's back. Then it lets the kicker know there's another cylinder that kicks the crush can out as well.
Mr. Replogle, when you hear a freshman in high school speak very specifically about these different functions, I would imagine it gets you pretty excited, not only for your program, but also for his future. Can you speak to that?
Absolutely. With somebody like Michael right here, I've already started teaching him stuff. He's going to learn in Mechatronics 2 and Mechatronics 3 just by going up and just writing stuff on the whiteboard. Because he has the interest and the intuition, and he actually picks up extremely quick on everything that he looks at. So he doesn't just stop with, "Hey, the teacher told me so." He actually goes into it, and I really strive at teaching Michael everything that I can while I have him.
We're visiting with Jeff Replogle. He's a mechatronics teacher at JCM-Early College High. Michael Patrick is a star pupil in the mechatronics program. He's a freshman at JCM-Early College High. He's also a member of the basketball team. You guys had a great run, so congratulations there. As you listen to this conversation about the Workforce Development Center, we want to remind you that the Jackson-Madison County School System has several Innovation Impact Institutes. It just so happens that Michael's involved in mechatronics. When you look across the school system, there is the Institute of Advanced Agriculture, Food, Natural Sciences, Technology at Liberty Tech. There's advanced carpentry at Southside High School. Those students built a tiny house. There's the innovative engineering and coding at Madison Academic. There's the Institute of Sound, Science of Sound Technology at JCM. There's the Hospitality and Tourism at Liberty. Of course, at Northside, they have the Law Institute, where they're training future attorneys and judges and for careers in justice and law enforcement. So many opportunities across the Jackson-Madison County school system. This is the point of this conversation. And we want to thank Jeff Replogle for his time and for Michael's time as well. It's about time for another timeout. But before we go there, Mr. Replogle, if you could explain again, you take a student like Michael, what should our middle school students be doing today to get ready for an opportunity in Mechatronics 1, Mechatronics 2?
The perfect example of that is what is coming up in the future with the new Melissa STEM program. They will actually be the perfect feed group into the Mechatronics program at the Workforce Development Center. But other than that, anybody that's interested in learning, interested in any math and science and stuff, they would be a good fit. I mean, you know, it's mainly be interested.
That's a good point. He says be interested, and it's another reminder. Go to jmcss.org and be sure to check out many of the programs. You're going to look for Department of Innovation. And so you're talking about these opportunities in a range of career fields, and we're really starting that now. Some folks would say we're starting it with pre-K, with teaching the kids the coding with the small robots, but certainly by middle school, students are getting into career and technical education. I think it's important to note here that if you rewind the clock, Mr. Replogle, to when you were graduating from high school and later from college, many of the careers that are available now were not known back then.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, now you got the robotics part of it, and you got the automation part where it used to be hands-on in the factories. And back when I graduated high school, you know, the factory job was hot and sweaty and miserable. Things have changed now. You got heating and cooling manufacturing buildings now, and you've got the robots coming in and stuff. And that's what I keep emphasizing to my students. Look into the future. What's the future going to look like? Prepare yourself for the future now, because it will change.
And you are an engineer training future engineers.
Yes.
Michael, what do you feel like you want your options to be? And I know you're just a freshman. You have 3 more years of high school. You'll go to Jackson State while you're still in high school and be introduced to other careers. But as it stands right now, what are your future aspirations?
Whether or not it's in mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, mechatronics engineering, or PLC programming, it's definitely probably going to be in the manufacturing field for sure.
All right. We're visiting with Jeff Replogle. He's a teacher of mechatronics at JCM-Early College High, and Michael Patrick, a star pupil at JCM-ECH. We'll have more information and details about the Workforce Development Center here in our Jackson-Madison County schools. You're listening to the JMCSS podcast for the district on JJ 97.7 FM. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Jackson-Madison County Schools and Forever Communications want you to leap up for literacy. Community partners like Miss Tennessee volunteer Jada Brown are increasing literacy across the community by reading 20 minutes every day.
I am reading The Very Hungry Caterpillar by Eric Carle.
Visit jmcss.org to hear the rest of the book and to discover ways students, individuals, and families can increase literacy across the community. Welcome back to For the District, the JMCSS podcast on JJ 97.7 FM. We've been discussing the mechatronics program at the Workforce Development Center, and we'll have more on that in a moment. But first, we want to say congratulations. In case you haven't heard, we want to say congratulations to our district level Teachers of the Year. Congratulations to Andrew Jackson's, Deshae Sherratt. She's our elementary level for pre-K through 4th grade Teacher of the Year. She's at Andrew Jackson. She teaches 1st grade. East Elementary's Ann Tompkins. She's our middle school Teacher of the Year district-wide. She teaches 6th grade at East Elementary, and she has a very cool story. And also JCM-Early College High's Dana Helton. She's our Teacher of the Year for the high school grade band. So we want to say congratulations to those teachers for their outstanding work within our schools. Last week you heard from Miss Surratt at Andrew Jackson. This week we're going to introduce you to East Elementary's Ann Tompkins.
I love teaching, for one. I always think that kids come first, And I think having a positive impact on the kids, being at school, I think is very important too. I try to be here for my students because when I'm not here, I feel as though that I'm missing something and they're missing something also. The advice that I have for young people that are considering to go into the teaching field, I would say, give it a try, do not give up. There's a positive impact that you can have on the lives of students and kids. As a teacher, I love to self-reflect. I think every day is a brand new day. I think about what I can do each day to have a positive impact on the lives of students. And also, I always tell them to always do their best. I mean, everybody may not be an A student or a B student, but always do your best, and that's the only thing that's going to count moving forward. So just do your best. For me, that's the most important thing.
So again, congratulations to our Teachers of the Year, and we'll let you hear from Miss Helton at JCM-ECH very soon. Back here in the studio, we're joined by Mr. Replogle. He's a teacher of Mechatronics at JCM-Early College High, and Michael Patrick, a star student at Early College. He's a freshman and a member of the Mechatronics program. I was asking during the commercial break, Michael, maybe some advice you have for middle school students, because a year ago, you were in middle school. Of course, you're a star Mechatronics student right now. What advice do you have for students currently in middle school thinking about them getting ready for high school?
Well, whatever you want to do, pre-plan for it. So that can look like just dedicating 1 hour to doing some research about certain things you might want to do or whatnot and getting an idea of it overall.
Want to encourage you to visit JMCSS.org. You can click the academics button, and from there you will see several options. But we want to encourage you to check out the innovation link. When you go to our Department of Innovation, down the left-hand side of the website, you'll see information about several impact institutes. And we told you again, our high schools offer several different institutes. There's advanced carpentry at Southside. There's the agriculture and food at Liberty Technology. There's coding and engineering at Madison Academic. The list goes on and on. Visit jmcss.org, click on academics, then look for the innovation link. You made a great point, Mr. Replogle, that I think I forgot about. The fact that because you teach at the Workforce Development Center, you can actually accept students from all over the district.
Yes, I can accept a student from any of the high schools here at JMCSS.
So someone may have heard this conversation about mechatronics and thought, man, I wish I was at Early College High. But actually, whether you're a kid at Southside, JCM, Liberty, or Northside, Madison, JASA, it does not matter.
Does not matter. I can accept all high school students.
So again, if your child is interested or shows interest in mathematics, in science, some early engineering, do check out the Workforce Development Center and the Mechatronics program. Talk about juggling all the activities you're involved in, Michael. You're an advanced student in mechatronics at the Workforce Development Center. You play basketball for JCM this year. And as a district, as we increase our offerings, of course, now students can play middle school baseball, middle school soccer, elementary basketball. How do you juggle it all?
What do you mean by juggle?
How do you carry an academic load? You're successful at that, but you also play basketball. How do you do it all?
Well, honestly, there's not much I can say. I just take it all in and not really just give up or anything like that. Just keep going.
Mr. Replogle,
Yes.
Earlier today, you were telling me about Michael.
Yes.
What kind of student is he?
Michael is actually one of the students. Not only does he listen to you, he absorbs what you tell him. When I first met Michael, it was just up and down the hallway for the first semester. And I thought, man, this guy's a character. Always smiling, always joking around. He says, I'm taking you next semester. I'm taking you next semester. So by the time he got brought in and he come into my semester, he listened to me. And I told all my students, this program is not that hard. This program is about time management. And he listened to me, and he absorbed that. Then he applied it. And Michael would tell you that he did work at home some on this, but he had a goal in mind, because I told him, if you get ahead, we'll do a special hands-on project. That's all I told him. I didn't tell him what it was. So he got ahead. Well, then he says, all right, I finished everything. I said, you haven't finished your OSHA 10. It'll be done by tomorrow. So here we go. You know, I mean, he literally went home, knocked it out, come back, and he says, I'm ready to get to work on this hands-on project. What are we going to do?
Again, you have an engineer who is training the next generation of engineers. JMCSS.org/innovation. JMCSS.org/innovation. You can learn more about a workforce development center. You can learn more about the many programs that we offer in the Jackson-Madison County school system. And there was a program I was surprised to hear Michael was not a part of, the Green Power USA electric cars. That's, of course, solidly, that's a middle school program, but we also have some high school students who are taking advantage of that. JMCSS.org/innovation. We are reimagining the way students learn. We're reimagining time, space, and modes of learning. And we're doing it through innovative partnerships. And talking about TCAT, the Tennessee College of Applied Technology, being an opportunity for students. Mr. Replogle, I think you said many of your students are earning college credit while they're still in high school at workforce development?
Yes. The students are automatically dual enrolled. Of course, they have to fill out the paperwork. They're dual enrolled with TCAT, so they're getting credit hours with TCAT. Now, some of my other students, such as my early college high students, you had to visit one of my previous students. He's actually a junior. He's actually in the Jackson State Community College. He's planning on graduating with a high school diploma and an associate's degree in science from Jackson State, and then he's planning on going to UTC Chattanooga to major in mechatronics engineering. He has his goal set. Michael and I talked about it, and of course he's a freshman. He doesn't really know, and I said, that's fine, but whatever you get ready to go in, I've been there, done it, did it. I'll guide you through it. I'll help you out.
He may be your strongest Jedi when it's all said and done.
Oh, absolutely.
Michael, are you in the Star Wars?
No.
No.
He will be.
You keep training him.
He will be.
We hope you have enjoyed this conversation this morning about the Mechatronics program at the Workforce Development Center. This is a program inside the Jackson-Madison County school system. Jeff Replogle is a Mechatronics teacher at the Workforce Development Center and JCM-Early College High. Michael Patrick is a star student at ECH and a member of the Mechatronics program. Again, be sure to check out our social media sites this week, as you'll see videos spotlighting Mechatronics, because many of the things Michael explained today, you'll be able to understand them better once you check out many of these videos. Thank you for your time this morning.
Appreciate you, Mr. Hammond.
We want to thank you for listening to For the District, the podcast for Jackson-Madison County Schools. You can check out this episode and previous episodes at any time. Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you check out your favorite show. We hope you have a great Sunday, an excellent week, and we'll see you next time.